diamonds in the rough. NFL Draft Diamonds. Time to shine.
Hi, I'm Jimmy Williams with NFL Draft Diamonds, and today I have with me Jacob Harris, who is a wide receiver out of Central Florida. How you doing, sir?
Doing well. Thank you for having me on. I'm excited to be on the show.
Yeah, it's been definitely a crazy experience for you. I mean, I'm pretty sure you've sat down with almost every team in the NFL doing all these Zoom interviews and such. So it definitely had a very busy schedule. Um, but before we get to all that, I want you to tell people just a little bit about yourself. I mean, just so that they have a brief idea of like who you are. Tell me first, like where you're from. Where are you from?
Yeah, so I grew up in Palm Harbor, Florida. Most people don't know where that is if they're not from Florida. So I usually say, Clearwater, Tampa area. That's the general location of where I'm located, 727. And I grew up playing soccer my whole life, competitively. That was, my childhood. Still, I'm always outside doing a bunch of stuff. Football, basketball, baseball. But soccer was my primary sport, and I really got into football. My senior year of high school. That was my first year playing, and just fell in love with the game from then on.
That's interesting. So obviously we got a soccer player, pretty tall one at that. I mean, 6'5", 220 pounds. So I mean, definitely would have been a formidable player in soccer for sure. What position were you in soccer when you were doing it?
In soccer, I was primarily a forward,
Okay.
but some played right wing or left wing. But really, forward was my main position in soccer.
Do you still follow soccer these days? I mean, are you a fan of a particular team or something?
I do not. I barely followed soccer when I played, but
Right.
my favorite player was like Neymar. He's
Gotcha.
probably the top guy right now.
Gotcha. Well, let's kind of get into your story as a football player. Lead us into your days at UCF. Bring us up to speed there, if you don't mind.
Perfect. So, I started off at Western Kentucky. I had under Coach Brom, Coach Shepard was the wide receivers coach. Coach Helton was the offensive coordinator at the time. And then I ended up coming back home after that first fall semester, and I spent a year out of football, 2016 year out of football. During that time, I was working, taking classes at my local community college, and I was also helping the wide receivers at my old high school. And during that time, I was able to get recruited by UCF, USF, and FIU. Both USF and FIU, those recruitments fell through because the coaching staffs had changed. Willie Taggart got the job at Oregon, and the coach that was recruiting me at the time from FIU got the job at Arkansas. So UCF was really my last resort, and one of the main schools that I was really trying to get to. But as far as the scouting aspect of it, the coaches weren't really getting back to me. So I had made the initiative to enroll myself into that spring semester, 2017 over there at UCF. And that morning, I remember, I called my coach, my high school coach, Coach Reggie Kroom, and I had called him, to tell him, hey, I'm driving up there for orientation. I enrolled myself in. I'm just going to try to do a walk-on tryout there, if possible. And he was able to, try Coach Ryan Held, who was the running backs coach at the time under Coach Frost. Try him one more time, to try to convince him, to watch my film. And thankfully he did. And that morning I got the call while sitting in line at orientation that, UCF would take me as a preferred walk-on. And that's kind of, how I got my foot in the door. And then, the rest is history.
Gotcha. So I mean, obviously, eventually getting out to Central Florida and to play for them. I mean, took a little bit of time. I mean, it's not completely unusual because I mean everybody has to go through their own road in order to get to the big dance. So hey, obviously you had a chance to get out there a little bit and play a few games there. What do you think is like your best attribute as a prospect in the NFL? What do you think guys really like about you?
I think my best attribute, is my versatility. And my how fresh I am with the game. I've only been playing football, for about five years now, and really I only have 2 years of actual playing experience in real games at wide receiver under my belt. So I'm barely new to the game. Got a lot more to learn, but I'm like a sponge. I'm soaking up everything that I can, and continuing to grow and build as a player. But I believe my best asset right now is my versatility. At UCF, I was used as a slot receiver, outside receiver. Sometimes they put me in, a flex tight end wing position. There's many spots that I played. I played all four special teams I started on. That really, helped, you know, prepare my role for receiver at UCF, starting on those four phases special teams. So I believe, my versatility is probably my strongest asset going on to the next level.
So, I mean, have you thought about, I mean, I know this is a crazy idea, but I mean, have you thought about like trying to gain a few more pounds and be like a tight end? I mean, is that a possibility for you, or are you just kind of comfortable where you're at?
I'm definitely comfortable where I'm at, but at the same time, we've been down that road before at UCF. I believe getting ready for the 2019 season, kind of figuring out, where I'd fit in with, Heupel's offense. We decided to, try me out at, just primary tight end position. At that point, I gained, I think, another 15, close to 20 pounds. I got all the way up to 237 is what I was weighing by the end of spring. And I think at that point, just how spring ball was going, I think I was better suited just to, be a deep threat from the slot just because of my speed and my size. And we already had, solid tight end as well, in Jake Hescock. So really, I think my best role to fit in there would be, just a deep threat from the slot.
Gotcha. So, I mean, are there guys in the league right now that you are trying to model yourself after, or even comparing yourself to? I mean, who are you aspiring to be? Like, if I had to compare you to a guy.
Definitely. I mean, if there's any guy that I'd want to be in the league, it's Mike Evans. From Florida, grew up watching Tampa Bay Buccaneers play, and Mike Evans, one of my favorite players growing up watching. Similar body type. Is a deep threat. It's great at blocking, and I think something that goes not unnoticed but a little bit under the radar is he's one of the most consistent receivers for the past 7 years with attaining over 1,000 yards receiving since his rookie season, which is hard to do. So that's something that I strive to try to be like.
Great. I mean, obviously one of the better guys that ended up getting a Super Bowl ring to boot too. So it's kind of nice to obviously get that for him. Hopefully we can get you on a team and get you that opportunity as well. Um, Jacob, again, we were talking about you just kind of after your college career was up. I mean, you kind of hit the ground running, ended up getting an invite to go to the College Gridiron Showcase and, really kind of, get to meet some scouts out there in Texas. Tell us a little bit about that journey. Any sort of story you want to tell about your time there at the CGS?
Oh yeah, I was just grateful for the opportunity and thankful, that I, had the chance to go out there and present myself, in front of, all 31 teams. I believe the only teams that wasn't able to be there was the Rams, but they had a great showing. I think they said over 130 something scouts were there. All these different guys from it was great seeing all the different players from Group of Five, Power Five. The kind of showing that we had over there, and I just really enjoyed the experience. We had different meetings. They hit all aspects. It wasn't just what to prepare for on the field, but off the field as well, like finances, different meetings, and kind of what to kind of look forward to. So I kind of enjoyed the whole really the full circle of what we got from that experience. It wasn't just the football side, but what to expect off the field when you're kind of making that transition from college to NFL.
Gotcha. So, I mean, you probably ended up sitting down with several scouts out there. What are they trying to pick your brain about? I mean, are they critiquing you? I mean, did they give you any sort of crazy questions when you sat down with them out there?
Nothing too crazy that I can remember. I know, man, when the interview started for our interview day at the CGS, I remember from like 1 o'clock to close to 10 o'clock at night, I was go just interviewing with all these different teams. And each interview was a little bit different. some teams I was, we were critiquing, some of my film from, previous season. Other teams just wanted, to get to know me more as a person. Some teams wanted, to test my football knowledge, because, me being new to the game, how well do I understand, the X's and O's, and how well, I pick up concepts. I remember, couple teams, had actually, tested me, draw up different formations, draw up, different routes, explain my favorite route and how, I'd run that against certain coverages. So, it was great. It was a great experience. I enjoyed
Cool. So what is your favorite route?
it. My favorite route, I can put it, I have a favorite route from the outside, which is, obviously, it's a go route, but I have a favorite route from the slot as well, which is it's like a deep line route. You got an opportunity to, kind of window shop coming across, second, third level. And then you also have an opportunity to split the middle for a home run if you're playing, against like cover 2 wide safeties.
Cool. So maybe your favorite route is the one where you get the ball. I don't know. But yeah. So Jacob, you actually went out, to your pro day, and you absolutely destroyed your pro day. So some of the numbers that I was able to, find for you, again, very impressive. 4.43 40, 40 and a half inch vert, which is insane. And over an 11-foot broad jump. So jumping all over the gym, man. I mean, definitely really impressing people with your athleticism. People are wondering, where has this guy been, and why isn't he on your radar? I mean, definitely a guy right now that after that pro day, everybody should know who you are for real. So how do you think you did during that pro day? Do you think that you showed scouts everything that they needed to know?
Yeah, I felt like I had a really good pro day, something I've been preparing for, the past 3 months. So, when that time came, I was prepared, to really go out there and just have fun. That was the biggest thing, this is what we do. As far as football, we go out there and, we've been groomed to perform, since we started playing, college football. So, and the only thing I can say about it is that, it was a great, just being out there back home at UCF, with all my teammates, and being able to showcase, again to the NFL one last time before this draft kicks off, what I have to offer, what the other guys from UCF has to offer.
Great. So you were saying a little bit ago that some of those scouts actually tried to pick your brain a little bit and try and figure out if you knew your stuff. So I want you to kind of just give me an example of that. So how do you break down film, and maybe just give me an example of perhaps like how that really worked out for you, like in a game time situation?
Perfect. So the way I break down film is I kind of, we go through like a checklist. So first off, we're scouting defenses. We always scout personnel, knowing which numbers and what guys are going to be in what positions. And then we, scout coverages. So how they play cover, 2, cover 1, cover 3. Do they like to roll their coverage? Kind of just, getting a feel for how their safety structure is, because from team to team, it varies how, a team plays cover 4 or cover 3. So those switch up. They kind of try to, do they try to disguise coverages more, or do they show you right up front, what they're going to be playing in? And then from there, I break it down to tendencies. So, what's a team's tendency, in situational football, in the red zone, or when we're backed up into our red zone or middle of the field. And then break it down to personnel. So what's, this corner's tendency? Do they like to, travel corners, or do they keep, one corner to each side, or do they keep, a boundary corner or field corner? That kind of helps us, kind of dictate, what these teams like to do and try to find weaknesses in their defense. And then, we also like to see, I like to see, because, I'm from inside and outside in the slot, on third down situations, or, where we're going to need, chunk plays at certain situations. Do they like to keep that third linebacker in, or will they bring in an extra nickel to, help out in the slot? So different things like that. And, really breaking it down to, how a guy opens up, plays man coverage, plays zone, to kind of know everything that I'm getting into for the game.
Great. And what's been your most memorable moment out there in the football field? Tell me about maybe one of your best plays or games.
My most memorable moment was 2018. it was college game day. We had it at UCF. We were playing Cincinnati, and that was, that year I was primarily special teams, and I remember, I believe it was the second or third kickoff of the game, just able to make, a splash play, hitting the, returner, I think around, in their 10-yard line. So just smoked them. And I remember, just that feeling of, the crowd and, my teammates around me. That was probably, by far one of the best feelings.
So you're saying one of the better moments was you actually laying a hit on somebody, not catching the ball.
No, and I thought it would be my first touchdown. But my first touchdown was great, but I don't think anything's gonna, top that moment of, being able to make a play. In special teams, everyone's juiced up. And kickoff coverage, that's just it's a special moment of the game for sure.
Great. I mean, and obviously special teams is key. And you might end up having to play special teams in the pros. So, hey man, if you're going to end up being perhaps like the gunner out there, doing punts or something, and you go out there and you lay a hit on somebody, people are going to say that guy right there, we need to, perhaps give him an opportunity on offense as well. So, I mean, I feel like that's kind of going to be your journey, I believe. I mean, I think most guys have you as a late round pick. I mean, that's kind of fair, I think. I mean, you're definitely in the mix there with a lot of guys who definitely have the athleticism. And I know that there's a good handful of guys there in like the 6th and 7th round that some teams are going to really take a chance on a guy like you. And hopefully it's really just you sitting down with, some of those scouts and, in meetings like this where you say, hey, I know what I'm doing. I'm ready to go out there. I'm healthy. Everything is great. Let's get at it. And, really, I mean, again, that's kind of how I see you as one of those late guys. Hey, I want to step off the football field a little bit, get to know who Jacob Harris is outside of a football player. So, tell us just a little bit about yourself and really maybe something unique that maybe not everybody knows.
Yeah. In my free time, I don't I don't do too much because when I'm not playing football, trying to let my body recover or do anything to make sure that my body is 100% ready for the next time I step on that field, whether that's practice, weight training, or game. But when I do have some solid time off, I do like to play guitar or play drums. I'm really into music. I'll play video games with friends. But if I'm back here, because in Orlando, the beach was like 45 minutes away. But if I'm back home in Palm Harbor area, the beach is 10 minutes, 10 minutes away. I can go head to the beach, to hang out or, hit the paddle boards or something, just always trying to do something outside.
Gotcha. So you play a little guitar, huh?
Yeah.
I mean, I got my guitar back here too. Not everybody really notices that it's actually there. What do you play?
I mainly play like hard rock or like alternative or a little bit of metal. I grew up, so I really got into guitar when I was in elementary school. I want to say closer to 4th, 5th grade. And at that time, I was mainly learning guitar on songs like AC/DC bands, Metallica. Who else? Trying to think. Guns N' Roses. I was trying, that was my
man. I love it. I mean, honestly, you're listing off some of my favorites there for sure. So, you got a favorite, music band, group, artist that you listen to these days? What's your jam?
Oh, I listen to everything. I would say nowadays I'm primarily rap music, hip hop, but I still have that soft spot for hard rock, heavy metal. I listen to a lot of reggae. I would say the only genre that I really don't listen to too much is country. And no knock on country music, but I just maybe 1 or 2 songs on my phone that are country.
That's all good. To each their own for sure. So I mean, so is the plan like out after your football career is over to just like create a rock band? I mean, is that the plan? I mean, what do you plan to do like after your football career is over?
I really have no idea what I'm going to do after football. I've got my undergrad. I've in the middle of my master's. I've deferred that for now, but I plan on eventually finishing my master's degree. But as far as my plans after football, I have no idea. I dove in head first with football, and everything that I have is invested in this process, and hopefully it pays out at the end.
Cool. So, what are you getting your master's in, if you don't mind me asking?
Yeah, my master's will be in career and technical education. It's kind of the new term for vocational education. So, yeah, it's kind of like, working with, trade school education and whatnot along those lines.
Gotcha. Well, I mean, at the very least, I mean, having an education is important, and being able to get that degree is like kind of a check in life for most guys. So, um, we are at about our time limit here, so I want to try and finish up with a couple of last questions. Give everybody your why. Why do you play football? Maybe why you started, why you playing now, and why you're trying to get to the NFL.
First and foremost, I play football because I love the game. I know a lot of people probably say that, but that's truly, my passion. Football comes first for me and everything. I know my girlfriend may not like, hearing that, but she knows it. I love the game, but I also love, the opportunity that the game brings. Especially in college, it gave me an opportunity for education. Now, hopefully in the NFL, it gives me an opportunity to set my family up in the future, and give them, the kind of support that we necessarily didn't have growing up. The possibilities that this game can bring are, a really big motivator for me as well.
Gotcha. And very last thing that I want to give you is an opportunity just to give your pitch to all those teams in the NFL, maybe some of those teams that haven't even interviewed you yet. What kind of player would they be getting if they took a chance on you? Just go ahead and give your last pitch.
For me, I'm a selfless guy, versatile player who will do whatever is needed for the team. I don't like to necessarily pigeonhole myself just one position. At UCF I wasn't just stuck as an outside receiver or just stuck as a slot. I was able to go anywhere and everywhere. Special teams, you got it. I'll go anywhere needed on special teams. And then on offense, if I need to go play defense, I'll go transition to defense. And I really truly mean that when I say, that's who I am as a player. I don't care as long as I'm able to, contribute and be on that field. That's really what matters to me, and that's the kind of teammate I am.
So I guess that means that you might end up being a linebacker in the future. Is that kind of possibility?
I doubt it. Maybe safety before linebacker, but
Sure.
Yeah, wherever seems fitting.
No, I get you there. Well, it's just that I look at a guy your size. I mean, obviously, a couple things kind of stick out. Obviously, number one is your size. 6'5", 220 pounds. Just kind of, it definitely jumps off the page. And then, of course, going out there, dominating your pro day, putting up these excellent numbers athletically, so people can see, wow, this guy can actually move. This guy actually has hops. I mean, there's a lot that people can maybe do with you, and so hopefully that really opened the eyes of a lot of coaches and said, you know what, maybe I can do something with this guy. I mean, maybe I could use him as like a move tight end, or maybe I can have him in the as a red zone threat, or even like you said, I mean, just kind of being a gunner out there on special teams and just kind of like laying into somebody. I mean, you always need somebody to do that, right? I mean, you always need somebody to hopefully cause a turnover and really, pin guys back. So, Jacob, definitely feel like you got a lot to offer a team. I mean, despite you not having a ton of experience, I mean, you really come to the table with a lot of athleticism and potential. Wish you best of luck moving forward, man. I mean, I know you got a lot going on. I really appreciated this interview and the fact that we were able to sit down and have this. But again, wish you all the best.
Thank you so much, and I really appreciated being on.
You're welcome. Again, this is Jacob Harris. He's a wide receiver / anything that you want him to do out of Central Florida. Thanks again.
Thank you.